Welcome to the ChatGPT podcast. I'm your host, Jaden Schaefer. Each episode, we dive into the latest developments in the exciting field of artificial intelligence, exploring its applications and potential impacts on our daily lives. Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast? I record and publish podcasts on a platform called Spotify for Podcasters, and I absolutely love it. Essentially, you can upload from your phone or computer, and it distributes to every platform that plays podcasts. They support video podcasts, and you can make money on the platform with ads or even podcast subscriptions, something that has made my life so much easier as a podcaster. So if you're interested, I highly recommend you give it a try. You can download the Spotify for Podcast app, or go to spotify.com/podcasters to get started on your podcast today. When the AI revolution began, it really hit and scaled in the marketing department first. And this was something I feel like I saw with companies like Jasper and Copy AI, where they were getting millions of users using AI. Essentially, they were APIs that Jasper is using from OpenAI's DaVinci model to help generate, articles and content like that. And that was really one of the big companies. Jasper back in October, before ChatGPT, raised a $1.5 billion round, or a $1.5 billion valuation on their round of funding. They raised over $100 million. And I think this is an area that really scaled. So this is, of course, with myself having a marketing background, an area that I'm very, very excited about. And today on the podcast, I want to talk about a marketing tool that has been taking the industry by storm, in my opinion. I say that because I'm a user, so it's, I'm biased. And this is something that I absolutely love. And they've just integrated AI in a very big way that gets me very excited, because I think it's indicative of what's going to happen in the industry and with tools in general, with the successful companies. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So the headline news today is the fact that Beehiiv, the newsletter platform, has just integrated an AI image and text generated assistant, and they have a bunch of different drop downs and cool tools that I think really help when they're super integrated like this. I think this is going to take perhaps a little bit of thunder from some tools that were trying to build plugins to do this on top, but of course Beehiiv has built this right in. Now, if you're a subscriber to the AI Box newsletter that we send out every week about some of the top news stories in AI, we break them down and give you a summary of them. You'll know that those newsletters are all sent from the Beehiiv platform. So it's a platform that I absolutely love. And I'm sure I probably have some sort of affiliate link on my account that I'll link. So if you're interested in starting a newsletter or saving your email somewhere, definitely click through that. I'm sure we'll both get some sort of bonus for it. I haven't looked into it, but in any case, I'm sure I'll leave a link to sign up for Beehiiv in the description. But without further ado, let's talk about some of the features that they're adding. Because I think this is a very, very cool use case, and it's a company that I currently use. So I'm always excited about that. So the basic overview is that I think they've added an AI writing assistant that can create content based on a user's desired output, along with a few different parameters like length and tone. Length and tone are kind of cool. So I saw in their little demo, there's a drop down where you can say write 6 paragraphs about blah, blah, blah. You put them in, you say write it in, this sort of tone. They got a drop down for tone. The thing that I like about that is you can add that to a prompt for GPT-4. Sometimes it does it, sometimes it doesn't. I'm wondering, GPT-4 definitely does a lot better than GPT 3.5, and so I'm wondering if that's just a prompt essentially that they've integrated, right? They have a software with drop downs. It's drop down how many paragraphs, and then you click on 6, and then it just changes in the prompt, write 6 paragraphs about this prompt. I'm sure that's how they integrated it, but sometimes GPT-4 doesn't do that perfectly. I think it's probably more of a problem with GPT 3.5. I'd be write 6 paragraphs about whatever, and then it'd write 5, or whatever. It annoyed me. Actually, paragraphs is probably better at. I think what it's really bad at is if you say write 1,000 words about this topic, it just does not do 1,000 words. It usually kind of caps out at whatever its traditional message size is. I feel like I was getting 600 words max when I tell it to do 1,000. So in any case, that's really cool that they're doing this. I saw them do it live, really cool in their product demo. They also have AI text tools, so you can change the tone of voice, autocorrect, autocomplete, lengthen, shorten, simplify, and do a lot of other things, all using AI, right? It's kind of cool, right? If there's a paragraph, if there's a sentence, you'd highlight the sentence, say lengthen this thing to 3 sentences. It can kind of elaborate, make it longer if you want, or shorten. If there's something that's a paragraph, you're hey, summarize this thing real quick. For me, tools like that are really useful because in my newsletter, I essentially take a news story and give you a little summary of it. And so if I pasted in an entire article, for example, highlight the whole thing and say, shorten this whole article to 3 sentences covering like the main stuff, it does it. I've read the news article. I read the thing after and be like, okay, yep, this is like a good, this is a good summary. Bada bing, bada boom. I think that's pretty awesome. The other thing they do is an AI image tool. You can generate images without actually having to leave Beehiiv's editor. Now, I think that they're using DALL-E 2 for these images, and in my opinion, DALL-E 2 is kind of horrible. But aside from that, Midjourney doesn't have an API, so I'm assuming they haven't plugged that into it, which would kind of be like the industry leader. But in any case, someone on their tweet where they were kind of announcing this tool said, I hope you don't get hosed by their 2-cent API for DALL-E 2. I guess DALL-E 2 images are pretty expensive. And they said, I hope you're running your own, your own model of stable diffusion, which a lot of people have recommended because, of course, that's a lot cheaper than APIing into DALL-E 2. So I'd be curious to see if they are doing that. If anyone knows, make sure to, tweet at me, let me know. The other thing that I think is pretty interesting here is that they have an AI translator. So first things first, when people say AI translator, I'd be curious to know if anyone has done this, but if anyone's put like Google Translate head to head with like just getting ChatGPT to translate something to a different language. I wonder if ChatGPT would do a better job because it could like listen to the whole sentence, understand the meaning, and do it in correct grammar for that, in that specific language, or if Google does this better. If Google does it just as good, I'm always curious why people feel like they need to say like AI translator. It's like, why don't just use a plugin with Google Translate, which is virtually free. But in any case, it is a cool feature. So that's plugged in. That's right on there. And so now on your newsletters, you can just get the whole thing translated to a new language. You could start your newsletter in 5 different languages if you wanted, which I think is pretty cool. So why this whole thing matters, I think being able to translate your newsletter into multiple languages is a big deal. I think that's going to unlock a whole bunch of new possibilities. I think they do Spanish, French, German, and some others. But in any case, overall, I think the reason this is a really exciting story for me to cover is because this isn't just Beehiiv. This is every tool, every software service that essentially is or should be integrating AI. Obviously, these are no-brainer use cases for AI. You're writing a newsletter, you're like, oh, what should I put here? How do I summarize this? How do I condense this? How to make this shorter? How to make this longer? Anything that you manually have to do should be automated, that can be automated by AI, should be automated by AI. And you don't necessarily want to go to find some third-party software to do all of this stuff. And so I think it's really cool when you see companies like Beehiiv integrating this. You can get it done. I will say that currently, when I'm writing newsletters for AI, I actually use AI Box, which is my software startup that I'm working on right now, raising a round of funding and building out. It's not released yet, so sadly I can't give you a link to try it out because it is an absolute lifesaver. But essentially, I built like a workflow on there. Pretty much what AI Box does, if you haven't listened from other podcasts, is it's a AI workflow generator, so you can chain together multiple AIs. So for the newsletter one, for example, I find 3 news stories that I think are really interesting and important to cover. I throw them in there. I click go. And based off of that, it generates all the content for my newsletter. It generates, summaries of those newsletters. It generates bullet points. It generates an intro and outro, a bunch of different content. You can generate images I can embed, although usually I'm just embedding, relevant tweets, what people are tweeting about on that topic. Again, also shout out to the newsletter. If you're not subscribed, I'll have a link in the, in the show notes, in the description for that as well. But yeah, so pretty much right now I have a box and I can throw in a few news articles, click go, boom, it generates all the content, and then I just copy it over. In the future, I'm going to work on doing a lot of third-party software integrations on AI Box, so I'll be able to have that plug straight into Beehiiv or another platform, hopefully that, I throw my news articles in, click generate, or even better yet, I'll have it do the searches, find the most relevant news articles, generate all the content, integrate with Beehiiv, fill the whole thing out. I go proofread it, make sure everything looks good, make some edits, throw some stuff in there. If I have sponsors, swap them in and out, and then publish the whole thing. So that should save a ton of time, which kind of would make some of the new features from Beehiiv redundant. But, you're always going to want to do some of your own custom stuff and integrations in there. So for that reason, some of these Beehiiv features are very cool. And of course, they're available now, and AI Box is still in the works. So in any case, all in all, I would say if you're interested in newsletters, get Beehiiv. It's amazing. I've tried a lot. I've done MailChimp. I was on a $2,700 a month tier there, and it was just really annoying having that as a business expense for a lean startup I was doing prior to AI Box. Switched over to MailerLite, which was, $400 or $500 a month, and then was able to switch over to Beehiiv, and that is $100 a month. It's amazing. They do everything. They have really high open rates. I believe the newsletter, so my other startup has a newsletter. It's called Self Pause, and it has around 90,000 plus subscribers on that newsletter. It's a daily newsletter. And I was blown away because just by switching from MailerLite to Beehiiv, I think they just do their platform better with how they do their sends, how they warm up their emails, and I guess they have a better reputation score or something, because as soon as we switched over, we went from having like a 5% open rate on our daily emails to having like a 15 to 25% open rate on our daily emails. And that makes a big difference when you have 90,000 people and you're going from 5% to 25%. It was like mind blowing. And so anyways, I cannot say enough how much I love Beehiiv. Very awesome platform. They've made a big difference with us. They have a cool feature too where they'll go and find you sponsors to throw on your newsletters. So we've got a bunch of sponsor placements with BetterHelp and a bunch of other platforms through them. They just found them for us. So that also saved us some time, was really nice. But in any case, highly recommend Beehiiv. Very cool that they're adding these AI features. And if you're interested in starting it up, I'll leave a link to them in the description. Have an amazing day.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
You've been listening to the ChatGPT podcast. Make sure to rate us wherever you listen to your podcasts and have a fantastic week.